Hey guys, long time no see. I'm sure you've all missed my voice. I wanted to provide a bit of a tutorial on how to proceed with the research component of our annotated bibliography assignment, which is our next big project after our, hopefully you've turned in your process essays by now. I'm in the process of grading those, getting those grades posted. But in the meantime, let's take a look at where to go first if you're not quite sure how to proceed. First of all, let's just look here. We haven't been using the discussion tab under the content tab much, well, if at all, really. But we are going to start, of course, since we're now basically an online course. So I've created this thread. Every week I'll create a new one. And your job is to contribute to that thread. That's how we're going to take attendance, basically, is your contribution to the discussion. And this week's discussion, of course, is, who you would like to research. You can choose anyone, any author, and a corresponding story or novel that author is responsible for. But how do you know what to pick, right? You don't want to pick something too obscure because you need at least 5 sources for your annotated bibliography. And so we're going to talk about how to find just the right subject and just the right way to proceed with that. So let's go into the content section, down to the annotated bibliography. Here we have the Purdue OWL, which is our handy-dandy friend that tells us exactly how to cite sources, how to format papers. You know that. Anything, any English questions we have, we go to the Purdue OWL to answer those questions for us. So if you click on the link, it'll bring us up to the website. This is the home page, basically, for the Writing Lab, and we'll link you to anything you need regarding your writing questions. Of course, we do the MLA style, Modern Language Association. So I always go first to the MLA guide. That way I'm looking in the right place. Chicago style, APA style. Those are for different kinds of writing, different colleges, different majors. We focus on MLA, and that's what we do. So I always go to the formatting and style guide. And then from here, when you're citing sources, this is where you go. Books, if you found a book that you're citing as a secondary source, your primary source, of course, is your subject, your author, and the book or the story that person wrote that you're going to be researching information on. So the secondary sources are the ones where you find that information. Someone who wrote about, for instance, say, you're doing Shakespeare and Hamlet, just throwing that out there. You're going to find secondary sources that write about Hamlet, aspects of Hamlet, themes, language, symbols, characterization, plot, all those literary elements that people write about, or maybe comparing Hamlet to other more modern stories. No matter really the research component, you don't really have to find a theme to research. At this point, I'm just looking for 5 sources on, say, Hamlet, or For Whom the Bell Tolls, or Moby Dick, or whatever you happen to be choosing. So, if your secondary source comes from a book, that's how you would cite the source. You'd come down here and have a look at some examples of how you cite a book source. With one author, its last name, comma, first name, period, the name of the book in italics, period, the publisher, and the year, right? More than one author, you follow that format, and that's how your cited source is going to look. Now, underneath that cited source, you're going to provide an annotation. That's where the annotated bibliography part comes in. Here's where you start with your source, this book or a journal article or a magazine article, a website, something like that. And then a paragraph below it that tells me, For instance, if Patricia Henley's book, The Hummingbird House, is something that I'm citing as a secondary source, I want to give a paragraph about Patricia Henley's book, what it provides, how it can help me develop a research paper based on the information inside that book. So with these sources, you need to read a little bit of them. You can't just find one and not really figure out what it's about. That's where the annotation comes in. To write that paragraph about why it's an important or valuable source, you actually have to go in and take a look at the source and get a general idea of what that source is going to provide for you. So that's where the annotated bibliography takes shape. It's a works cited page plus each cited source. You provide a paragraph or so, 100, 200 words, something like that for each one, about what that source is going to give you. So these are all examples of the different ways that you can cite a book. If it has no author, if it's translated, if it's older than 100 years, you want to include the city it was published in, that sort of stuff, that little nitpicky stuff that the MLA is so good at throwing in on our path. And sites like the Purdue Owl are so great at letting us know all the little rules and exceptions to rules that come with citing sources. So that's for books. For periodicals, that's the other big one you want to look at. That's articles in a magazine or a newspaper or a review, editorials, a scholarly journal. You're going to be looking at a lot of those. I want at least 3 of your 5 sources to be peer-reviewed, scholarly in nature, meaning either from a scholarly journal or a periodical or a book of some kind, but a peer-reviewed. And what we mean by peer-reviewed, basically the work of scholars, of professors that has been looked at and vetted, for lack of a better word. It's been approved, it's bona fide, it's legitimate. So yeah, you can use a couple of your sources can be, more popular. For instance, if you're researching a book that's been very popular in the last few years, a popular novel in the last few years, for instance, you're going to be able to find scholarly sources and probably popular sources, like a review in a popular magazine, for instance, or something of the like. But I want most of your sources to be scholarly in nature. In other words, they come from not People Magazine or Wikipedia, but from, say, a quarterly review or a literary review. And that's where you can find these. Now, where do you find those sources? Funny you should ask. I'll show you. Here's a sample annotated bibliography. Basically similar to what it's going to look like. Of course, yours is going to have a heading. You're going to have a title, which is probably going to be the title of your primary source. The works cited and how it's going to look. And then a brief paragraph, like I said. And this is how you're going to indent everything. You don't indent the first line, and then you go ahead and indent everything after that. And that's how an annotated bit should look. You don't need to number them. And you may notice that these cited sources don't look exactly like the MLA version in the Purdue Owl site. That's because they're not using MLA format for some of these. So don't pay attention necessarily to the look of the citation here. I just wanted to show you what the page itself might look like, right? Here's one source, here's another source, here's a third source, and each one has a corresponding paragraph following it, which shows you, it shows that you as the student have gone ahead and looked at that source and decided that it's worth pursuing. That's a source that you would read in its entirety to get an idea of, what it can provide for you. So, another web link here, a complete guide to MLA and annotated bibs. from easybib.com. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I just wanted to make you aware of its presence and where you can find it. It provides a pretty handy digest of just what, the possibilities in an annotated bibliography. Here's an example of a book source. Mark Forsyth, The Elements of Eloquence, Secrets of the Perfect Turn of Phrase. And here's the annotation. This person at least skimmed the book and got a general idea of what it involves and provided a paragraph that shows, you're sharing information. You're sharing, hey, this is a source I might use. What do you think? Right? This is kind of the purpose of research in a class like this, is to spread ideas around. And so, with that in mind, let me go to our last link here in the folder, which is the library database. And I'm going to try not to rush through this. I have about 4 minutes left on my recording time. So, for instance, say you want to research Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, we can do that. This is the library website, by the way. Wonderful setup here that they've provided for us so that we don't really have to go into the library physically anymore. We can just kind of look things up here. This is the database that links all the resources that we have at our disposal here. If I want to research Edgar Allan Poe, I want full text. That way I can read the article or the book and see just what the secondary source is going to provide. Peer-reviewed. So I click on those two to kind of filter out stuff I don't want. I can also filter with books, articles, ebooks, all that stuff, databases. So here I go. I'm going to search. And it might ask you, of course, to provide your credentials. No problem. They want to make sure you're not a bot or a hacker. So it brings us to this search page. 1 of 20 results, that's the first page, out of 8,572, covering Edgar Allan Poe. And that's filtered through peer-reviewed and full text. So this provides 8,500, almost 8,600, full text, peer-reviewed, either academic journal articles or books or theses or dissertations. This is basically the canon of research on Edgar Allan Poe. Now, what about a specific story or poem or book by Edgar Allan Poe? Well, how about The Telltale Heart? If I want to choose that, I would filter even further. That's what these Boolean searches are great for. And so now I've got 59 sources on just The Telltale Heart. Full text, peer-reviewed. Great. But I can go even further. Say I want to talk about an aspect of the story. If I were putting together a research paper, maybe I'd be talking about race, elements of race in The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And when I make that search, I've got 13 full text, peer-reviewed sources concerning just the elements of race present in that story by that author. And so you can look at each one. You can look at the full text version for each of these. It'll pull it up for you. You can read through them or at least skim through them, get an idea for what David Faflick has to say, writing out of the University of North Carolina. So, if you could put together a paragraph basically about his interpretation of the story based on race, that's great. Cite the source, give the annotated paragraph that concerns it, and that's one source down, 4 more to go. And that's where we go from there. And that's all the time I have left on this particular recording. So if you have any questions, see me in the discussion forums, and we'll try to answer them for you. In the meantime, good luck and good work, and I'll be in touch. Take care.